Welcome to the Michigan Golfer Show. Join us each week as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great game.
We're at Birmingham Country Club with Jerry McAuliffe, who's been the manager here for 20 years. People can't keep a job here at Birmingham. Ray McGuire was a pro for 35 years and succeeded by Carl Patron, who's been here about 30 years. But Jerry, tell us a little bit about what's happening with the golf course. There have been some changes.
Yeah, in the last 10 years, we've gone through a master planning process. David Essler is our golf course architect from Chicago. And instead of committees from year to year making decisions of what to do here, we have a plan that'll go on over time. Most recently, this past year, we've redone all of our tees. We went from irregularly shaped, very lumpy tees to traditional square tees that have all been leveled. They're all square. And we've added 11 forward tees for women, younger players, older players. And everyone's really enjoyed the changes that we've made. We've also removed a substantial number of trees due to both the ash borer and just golf course architects, I find, like to take trees out. But we've opened it up considerably, and it looks great.
Absolutely. They call them bunkers in the sky. Most architects say, hey, there weren't trees here when we built this place. How come you have so many now? But I think those were committees that did that.
Right. We had a tree program for years where we were planting trees. After, in the early 60s with Dutch elm, I hear that we lost 1,000 trees here at Birmingham, and there was a ongoing program to replace those trees, and now we're back to taking them out.
Now tell us a little bit about the clubhouse. This is one of the more beautiful clubhouses in the metropolitan area or in the whole state.
Well, the golf course was built in 1916, but the clubhouse was built in 1930 during the Depression. It's just a beautiful old Tudor building. It's gone through, as well as the golf course, consistent renovation. We've been fortunate enough to be able to reinvest into the structure and keep it in tip-top shape. And through the years, a couple additions have been added to the building as well. But it's just a beautiful old Tudor building. We just replaced our slate roof 3-4 years ago, spent $1 million. And hopefully this one will last another 75 years.
We're here with Carl Patron, longtime golf professional at Birmingham Country Club for something like about 3 decades. And reminiscing a little bit about one of the great championships in golf history was here at Birmingham. It was the 1953 PGA Championship, won by
Walter Berkemo.
Hometown boy.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, Walter was the assistant golf pro around town and also the golf pro at Detroit Golf Club and at Franklin Hills, I believe. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Walter was one of the great match players of our time, and had been real close the year before, and then he won it here at Birmingham, and was kind of another little bit of history. Ben Hogan won the first 3 majors that year. He won the Masters, he won the United States Open, and he won the British Open, the only one that he played. And he deigned to not come back because
actually the British Open and the PGA were scheduled at the same time period, so Ben was talked into playing in the British Open by some of his fellow golf pros that had played over there before. He had never made the journey, and that year it happened to be at Carnoustie, one of the great golf courses in Scotland. And Ben went over there actually a week early and practiced, and then won the golf tournament. So that was his only British Open, his only victory there. And unfortunately, if he had played here at Birmingham Country Club and the schedule had been different, this club would be a little bit different than what it is right now, perhaps.
Well, he went to Carnoustie. He hated it. He didn't like the weather. He didn't like the accommodations. He didn't like the food. He didn't like anything about it. But he won. And also, that was after his big bus accident that ran into him on a West Texas highway, and he won the 48 PGA, and he never played in it again because the PGA had 36-hole finishes, and his legs just wouldn't take that. So that was another reason why he didn't hurry back from Carnoustie. But we had Chick Harbert, who was another local pro, played.
Right, Chick was a pro at Meadowbrook Country Club. I think it was after he had won the PGA Championship.
No, he won it the next year.
He won it the next year, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, the hometown boys have done pretty good in the PGA Championships here in in the Detroit area.
Talk a little bit about some of the other championships that have been played here at Birmingham, like the women's amateur, senior amateur.
Yeah, we had actually started back in, I think, 1936. We had the True Temper Open, and Olin Dutra won that event. And we actually have a picture in the clubhouse of Babe Ruth, who participated in that golf tournament after his retirement from baseball. Also, we had the 68 women's amateur, which was won by Joanne Carner. And the medalist in that event was a young gal, not by today's standards. I think she was around 22 years old, Catherine Lacoste from France, who actually won the women's amateur the following year in '69. And also the senior amateur, which was run by Robert Rollins, who was from Dallas, Texas, and who later became a member on the PGA Senior Tour.
Right. And Catherine Lacoste, the name may be familiar. Her father was... That's a crocodile that is not an alligator on those shirts. He was called Le Croc. He was a great tennis player, and then his daughter became a great golfer. And the year after she was medalist here, she won the women's amateur. Whereas Joanne went on to she won 5 women's amateurs, and then decided, well, maybe it is time to turn professional. She did. She won 43 times on the LPGA Tour. We talk about Annika Sorenstam now and Lorena Ochoa, and they kind of forget about Mickey Wright and Joanne. And Joanne was just a great player, very strong.
Very strong indeed, and also a great fisherwoman. Her and her husband Don used to fish all the time. I've had contact with her over the years and stuff, and really a great lady. And they used to call her Big Mama because she was the biggest hitter on the ladies' tour at the time. Yeah.
So that's some of the history here at Birmingham Country Club. Well, I've got one more. Do you remember when Glenn Johnson qualified for the 1972 U.S. Open out at Pebble Beach, and he won his spot in the playoff here at Birmingham?
Yeah, that was quite a few years ago. And you want to play off against Chuck Thorpe, who was kind of a pal of mine. We used to play some golf at Palmer Park together, and he beat Chuck in a playoff, I think on the second playoff hole when Glenn won the playoff, and then Glenn went out there and had some fun at Pebble Beach, I'm sure.
Right. Well, he played practice rounds at Pebble Beach with Arnold Palmer, and then Lee Trevino was the defending champion, and was wondering whether he'd play or not. He had pneumonia or some chest problems, and he wasn't feeling good, but he finally showed up. And Wednesday afternoon, the day before the Open begins, he showed up on the golf course, and Glenn said, "Hey, need a game?" And so Glenn went out and played with the defending champion, Lee Trevino. and the playoff, Glenn, of course, was 5-time Michigan amateur champion, and Thorpe was a big hitter, right?
Yeah, Chuck was a big hitter. He used to never use a tee. He used to just kick his foot in the ground and put a ball in a tuft of grass and then hit it off of there. He was a very strong player, though. And his brother, Jim, is now a stellar senior tour player. A little bit older now, but Jimmy's had some great success on the senior tour.